So I'm out working in Greece again this week, and firstly just to say that the huge storms that were all over the front page of even some UK newspapers were so close to where we were that we were literally stood at the edge, by the beach, like watching them in the distance, and they could so easily have taken a slightly different turn and come and decimated Skiros, the island that I'm on. And there was definitely a sense as we kind of stood there and watched them, firstly of concern about whether they would come our way, but also about whether we were just watching like the beginning of the apocalypse. And I just wonder how much time we're going to spend watching these horrific weather events getting more and more extreme and affecting other people's lives, and when it's going to be our turn, and and when we're going to start to realize that our turn is so close that we really ought to start doing something about it and cancelling these ridiculous oil and gas contracts that Rishi Sunak is so determined to push ahead with, and start building a renewable power system across the UK and supporting countries around the world to do the same thing. But while I'm here, I also want to talk about the big news story that's been dominating the headlines in the UK, which is the guy who broke out of jail and has since been recaptured. Now, I could make a totally gloaty piece, because I've made several pieces about how British prisons are being badly funded, the money is being siphoned off into private companies, people in them are being treated badly, and they're not being maintained properly, and all this kind of stuff. I could absolutely have a gloat about that, but there's actually a couple of other points I really want to focus on that I don't think anyone is talking about. The first is the question of what this guy was in prison for. So he was accused of making a fake bomb, or planting a fake bomb, and that's a weird charge, isn't it? Because, I mean, a fake bomb is just anything that looks like it could be a bomb. I mean, this makeup bag is a fake bomb if I'm like, oh, careful, it's ticking. Like, surely if you're going to make a good bomb, you'd make it not look like a bomb. So it's a little bit arbitrary, isn't it? And what is the worst thing that a fake bomb can do? Well, cause a delay, right? Cause people to evacuate a building unnecessarily. I mean, okay, like I'm not saying it shouldn't be an offence, but it doesn't seem like that's what we should be focusing, our sentencing and our law and vigilance on. And secondly, he's been accused of trying to get hold of information which could potentially be passed on to the Iranian government. And, I understand that's essentially spying, isn't it? And I get that that's like a serious offence, but it's interesting that he was out of prison for several days, and yet the Iranian government didn't come and get him and squirrel him away. Then he was still wandering around the streets of the UK. I mean, I find it hard to believe that Iran is that incompetent when it comes to their own international spy network. The whole thing seems a bit spurious and unclear, doesn't it? And it worries me that we're locking people up for extended prison terms when we don't even necessarily know what on earth they're supposed to have done. It doesn't seem to be anything all that serious. But the final thing that I want to say that nobody is talking about, and even the Morning Star, the Guardian, the supposedly left-wing press have not picked up on this, is that the response from the prison has been, well, the prison is understaffed. And we hear that so much, don't we? The NHS is understaffed, the schools are understaffed, the railways are understaffed. And we're supposed to live in this, capitalist free market economy. So why is it that these places are always described as being understaffed, rather than saying we do not pay people enough to recruit the staff that we need or to retain them? Because the fact is, where are all the staff that used to work in our prisons, in our schools and in our hospitals? And the answer is that they're moving overseas at a rate of knots to go and work elsewhere where the conditions are better. They're moving into other sectors. They're moving into being self-employed. They're starting their own businesses. They're doing other things. It's not worth them going into work when they've got other responsibilities and other things to do. Nowhere is understaffed. Everywhere is inadequately paid. And these people who claim to support a free market should look round and go, if there's not enough labour to fill the labour force, then the answer to that is to raise wages. That's the way that we solve that problem. It's so straightforward. See you next week. Increasingly, the mainstream media is terrible at informing the public of what is really going on. I'm only able to make these videos because people are generous enough to sponsor me making them, and if you're able to be a part of that, I would hugely appreciate it. It can cost as little as $1 a month, and you'll get loads of fun bonus content and lots of extras from me and my undying gratitude. I also massively appreciate it if you're able to like, share these videos and let people out there know what's going on.